Hello and welcome to this edition of Value Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Trevor Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And as always, glad to welcome in Earl Eues. Earl, thanks for being here again.
Hey, Keith, it's good to be here.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. And you know, I've been able to, my wife kind of asked me, man, how is it that in the last 2 weeks you've had some big event? We got the chance to visit and hang out a little bit socially at the rooftop event that Trevor General Health System put on. And then last night, large event over at, took place this particular week over at the Civic Center with Best of the Best. And so just really nice to be kind of out there. It's kind of nice for us to be able to experience that again and feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get back to pre-COVID days. COVID's still out there, but we've kind of been monitoring it. It's at 5% or less,
right?
Number of cases. So, which is really down from, if you compare it to a couple of years ago, even right before Ida, it was like 19%.
19%.
So we're seeing very low numbers. People who are getting the COVID are not getting it sick. Mm-hmm. And there's some new treatments out there that they're using, and then they've I guess souped up the vaccination, mm-hmm. To where now it highlights the Omicron, so you can get a little more effectiveness against the Omicron virus. So
which is a really virulent.
Yeah, it's more contagious,
right?
Yeah? So if I encourage people to go get it, but if you decide not to, I understand, and then even if you want to wear your mask, I still see people when they're around the setting, different settings and large amounts of people, they may be wearing their mask, but I'm seeing less and less of that.
Right.
So under a social and mental capacity, people are getting back, mm-hmm. to being able to do things that we weren't able to do 3 years ago already.
2 and 3 years ago, you and I, over the course of this, as we talk so often about this, have been thinking about, will we ever shake hands with people again? Will we ever be able to hug people again? There was a real concern.
That's correct.
About that distancing. And, quite frankly, if there were people that were nervous about it, I keep a mask with me, mm-hmm. and I'm going to give them a hug. We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like I connect with people. In fact, everybody over at Trevor Home Care was teasing me as we were fortunate enough to win Best of the Best for home care, for home health. So very exciting, but I got to see so many people that I haven't seen a whole lot of. Even in these last few months, as the numbers have gone down, just haven't been able to see a lot of people. And so a lot of hugs and kisses.
Yeah.
And it was good.
We were at that event last week and they had over 300 people there, but everybody's just so happy to be able to get out and be around people again and come back to some normalcy.
Right.
We are hugging people and we are shaking people's hands, but we're still using a lot of hand sanitizer.
Yep.
I mean, we just can't. We're just used to that now.
Right. It's a good norm.
And we're washing our hands. The practices that we did for COVID should be the same practices that we do for the flu season, mm-hmm. and to keep the flu numbers down. And if people continue, everywhere you go now, you can get hand sanitizer.
Yeah. In fact, we keep ours on the corner right here, and so it's just one of those things that it's always available. It needs to be.
So those hygiene things are going to keep our flu season down, hopefully.
Right, and that's one of those things that where we see, and we've talked about this the last couple of years, where COVID kind of leaks right into, if you will, flu season, and how those are much more similar now.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to, I think we're going to experience that this year. We're going to have, a COVID flu season. So mm-hmm. You're going to have some COVID mixed in there with some flu, and I think that's going to be the norm. Mm-hmm. But, as time progresses, just like they do for the flu and every other illness that comes out, they progress in the medicines and the treatments that they can give you, and the same will happen for COVID.
Right, like we have with vaccinations and like we have with boosters. Because now if you're vaccinated, go get boosted. Now's a great time to do that. Think about your flu vaccine and think about your booster for a COVID vaccine.
Right. And I just think, mentally, it's good for people to start getting out and to start seeing people. I mean, look, 3 years ago, I mean, we didn't know what was going to happen in this world, and
Right.
it was a trying time for a lot of people,
Scary.
and it was scary. And we need to rejoice in what we have right now and the way things are going, and go out and enjoy everybody, and get out in this beautiful weather. And I know it's a little off topic, but this weekend will be a great time to go out and experience the bicentennial celebration in Terrebonne,
Absolutely.
and without having that big worry of whether or not I'm going to get COVID and end up in the hospital.
Right. And you can wear your mask. You can bring your hand sanitizer. There'll be some out there.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep your distance, okay. But if you don't, go and come and hug Earl. Go and hug Chris Pulaski. And just some of those things that are going to be really exciting. We're excited. I'm going to be part of a group with our Bayou Region Alzheimer's Services, selling pastelaya and just
Well, good.
really enjoying being out there. And it's a really great time. You bring up a good point as we close this segment. It's fall season, which means it's festival season. And being able to celebrate the 200-year celebration for Terrebonne Parish, they've done a phenomenal job. It's been the best and most organized progression every month with the presentations that I've ever seen.
I mean, look what we've missed out in the last 3 years. Like the Rougarou Festival.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they didn't have it for 3 years.
3 years,
We had two
right.
years of COVID and a year of Ida. I mean,
Right.
so it's so awesome to be able to have these events again and to go out and see people, and I think mentally it's going to improve our community.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yes.
Being healthier across the board. Glad that we're able to think about and take care of our community and get out there and enjoy some stuff.
Yeah, it's we're winding down hurricane season. We're past the
Coming
peak.
down, baby.
We're past the peak of hurricane season. I've done a lot of praying this year that we wouldn't have a major storm affecting us. Hurricane season doesn't end till November 30th, but
We getting there.
we're getting that, and we're getting these strong cold fronts coming down, and it kind of keeps the tropics pushing further south and to the west of us. But I remind everyone, we had Hurricane Juan back in, I guess that was 85.
85.
And I can remember that storm as I was a student at Nichols, and whether or not I should evacuate back home to Morgan City or not. But we ended up staying in Thibodeau. But I remind people that we had that storm late in the season, and the damages that it caused in South Terrebonne, the flooding event. But now that we have our great Morganza to the Gulf levee system, and Reggie Dupree and all of his group over there, and everyone else that's helped contribute to our Morganza to the Gulf levee system here within Terrebonne Parish, if we did experience another Juan type event, we wouldn't have the significant flooding that we had back then.
We
And
may
it's
have
good to know that.
some yard flooding.
Well, it depends on how much rain we would get
Right,
from a system
right.
like that. But as far as the storm surge coming in, the levee system would hold up for us for that.
Right.
know.
And it's remarkable. And in fact, a lot of the people that I speak with and interview across the country and sometimes around the state, that's one of the things that people just know. I could not take more pride in our area for what we've done and what they've fought for 20-something years.
And
to do.
it's paid off. I
Yeah.
mean, it really has. And you look at these other communities, that have these storms and are affected by the storm. Even right there, like in Calcasieu Parish, they don't have a levee system
No.
there or a locking system for the Calcasieu River. And then you go, with the storm that just hit the Florida coast. There are no levees along there.
No.
I mean, nobody wants a levee on the beach.
No, that's exactly
An
right.
18-foot levee on the beach. So, I'd like to reiterate again, and I know that we are still recovering in this area too, but if you can afford to help the people in the Florida area affected by Ian, to please do so, either a volunteer effort with Catholic Charities,
right.
Salvation Army, Red Cross,
United
all-
Way.
yeah, United Way, all of those organizations that help in times of need. That if you're able to repay some of that, please do, because we got a lot of help from those people, and we got help from all over the country.
Yeah, we really did. And one of the things that's interesting, you're talking about praying for no hurricane or no major hurricane. I was praying for no tropical storms.
Oh, me? Well, I didn't want anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just because there's so many people in campers,
Oh yeah.
so many people in temporary homes.
And we still have a lot.
Oh, we do.
We still have quite a few people in the state and FEMA. Have caseworkers going out and trying to help them. Find a permanent solution. And it's a slow solution. It takes time.
Right.
So, but they are working with them and trying to make sure they have some type of permanent solution in the future.
Yeah, and I think very often people think that they're coming out to do those monthly checks because they just want to check in on them. No, it's not what they're wanting to do. They're wanting to check and see how things are going and how we're moving forward. How can we help?
Right. And it's not just on housing either. I
Right.
mean, if you have, some if you're going through some type of mental health issue or low depression or something like that, you tell your caseworker that.
Right.
And let them know, because they'll find a solution for you to help you with whatever, issues that you may be having.
Yeah, it's really important, whatever that may be, addiction, mental health issues, a combination of those.
Right.
We see a
Family
lot
issues,
of that,
just
right?
whatever. Just let the caseworker know, and they'll find you somebody to call or some solution to help you
Right.
out.
And there's a lot of resources in our area.
That's
so we're
correct.
really, really happy about that. And if the people that live with you and you're still in a trailer and you used to like them, there's some help. I mean, listen, I can't imagine. It was just my wife and I and our two dogs. I can't imagine that if we stayed longer than the 6 months, because we were displaced for up into December,
Yeah.
and then we were in a camper in our driveway for 6 months.
Right. Parish
It
president.
created a great deal of stress. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Parish President Dove and his administration and
Chris.
our Housing and Human Services and Chris Pulaski with Planning and Zoning, they're working very hard to try to find some solutions for some long-term housing for the people in our community. I mean, we lost two huge housing facilities,
Facilities,
Bayou Towers and Senator Circle. So, we want those residents to come back. We want them to live here. So they're working on solutions. It's just going to take a little while.
Yeah, and so we've got to be even more patient than we were initially with getting some of the temporary housing. We've got to be more patient because permanent housing is going to take even longer.
That's correct.
And that's just, and we applaud and appreciate the efforts that are being made. I'm glad you bring it up because I think all people see are the things not happening instead of all the things that are happening to try to make something happen.
Right.
And doing that. Well, Earl, we appreciate the updates as always. I'm glad that we have been able to talk a little bit about where COVID meets the flu. I'm glad we talk about the fall season and people getting out there and go enjoy your mental health. Go get a breath of fresh air.
That's correct.
And go get a hug or a handshake if you need or want that. Lots of opportunities, and people can go out on Saturday from 11 to 8 for the centennial celebration,
The bicentennial
celebration.
It's going to be nice, and the weather's
Downtown.
going to be great.
It's gonna be perfect.
Please come out.
All right, we appreciate it as always.
You're welcome.
And that will do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming here on HTV.